up measures to prevent acts of genocide in the Gaza Strip of Palestine, where the country is currently battling with Hamas fighters. The International Court of Justice on Friday, in a unanimous judgment, ordered Israel to do more to prevent the killing and harm of civilians in Gaza, but did not call for a ceasefire, which many people had hoped the court would endorse for immediate end to the violence. At the Hague's Peace Palace, the court's president, Joan Donoghue, read out the court's order, ruling that the ICJ has jurisdiction in the case brought by South Africa and arguing that there is an urgent need for measures because of the plausibility of genocide. The court called on Israel to prevent the possibility of genocide, including by allowing more and punishing comments from officials and soldiers that amount to incitement. International Court of Justice President Joan Donoghue says the court feels it is necessary for it to indicate certain measures in order to protect the rights claimed by South Africa. The ICJ also ordered Israel to allow humanitarian access in Gaza. The court rules that Israel must take immediate and effective measures to enable the provision of urgently needed basic services and humanitarian assistance to address the adverse conditions of life faced by Palestinians. The ICJ also ruled that Israel should take effective measures to prevent the destruction and ensure the preservation of evidence relating to acts of genocide. It would be recalled that South government in December 2023 approached the International Court of Justice, alleging acts of genocide committed by Israeli soldiers in the Gaza Strip of Palestine. On October 7, 2023, a group of Palestinian fighters, known as Hamas, invaded southern Israel, killing and injuring thousands of people, including soldiers. Hundreds of persons were also kidnapped by the Hamas fighters. In retaliation, Israel launched both air and ground invasion into the Gaza Strip, killing more than 24,000 people in the Palestine city of northern Gaza, and vowed to continue the war until the entire Hamas fighters are killed, despite pressure and call for ceasefire by the international community.
Africa. I recall that on 29 December 2023, South Africa filed in the registry of the court an application instituting proceedings against Israel concerning alleged violations in the Gaza Strip of obligations under the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, to which I shall refer as the Genocide Convention or the Convention. The application of South Africa contained a request for the indication of provisional measures submitted with reference to Article 41 of the statute and to Articles 73, 74, and 75 of the Rules of Court. In accordance with the usual practice, I shall not read the introductory paragraphs of the order which set out the procedural history of the case. I shall also omit or summarize some other paragraphs. I shall therefore begin the reading of the order at paragraph 13. In the order, the court begins by recalling the immediate context in which the present case came before it. It observes that on 7 October 2023, Hamas and other armed groups present in the Gaza Strip carried out an attack in Israel, killing more than 1,200 persons, injuring thousands, and abducting some 240 people, many of whom continue to be held hostage. Following this attack, Israel launched a large-scale military operation in Gaza by land, air, and sea, which is causing massive civilian casualties, extensive destruction of civilian infrastructure, and the displacement of the overwhelming majority of the population in Gaza. The court is acutely aware of the extent of the human tragedy that is unfolding in the region and is deeply concerned about the continuing loss of life and human suffering. The ongoing conflict in Gaza has been addressed in the framework of several organs and specialized agencies of the United Nations. In particular, reservations have been adopted by the General Assembly and the Security Council of the United Nations, referring to many aspects of the conflict. The scope of the present case submitted to the court, however, is limited, as South Africa has instituted these proceedings under the Genocide Convention. The court then turns to the conditions needed to be fulfilled in order for it to indicate provisional measures. With respect to the question of prima facie jurisdiction, the court observes that it may indicate provisional measures only if the provisions relied on by the applicant appear prima facie to afford a basis on which its jurisdiction could be founded, but it need not satisfy itself in a definitive manner that it has jurisdiction as regards the merits of the case. In the present case, South Africa seeks to found the jurisdiction of the court on Article 36, Paragraph 1 of the Statute of the Court, and on Article 9 of the Genocide Convention. The court must therefore first determine whether those provisions prima facie confer upon it jurisdiction to rule on the merits of the case, enabling it, if the other necessary conditions are fulfilled, to indicate provisional measures. Article 9 of the Genocide Convention provides, I quote, "Disputes between the contracting parties relating to the interpretation, application, or fulfillment of the present convention, including those relating to the responsibility of a state for genocide or for any of the other acts enumerated in Article 3, shall be submitted to the International Court of Justice at the request of any of the parties to the dispute." End of quote. South Africa and Israel are both parties to the Genocide Convention, and neither of them has entered a reservation to Article 9 or any other provision of the Convention. The court then recalls that Article 9 of the Genocide Convention makes its jurisdiction conditional on the existence of a dispute relating to the interpretation, application, or fulfillment of the Convention. A dispute is a disagreement. The State of Israel shall take all measures within its power to prevent and punish the direct and public incitement to commit genocide in relation to members of the Palestinian group in the Gaza Strip. The State of Israel shall take immediate and effective measures to ensure the provision of urgently needed basic services and humanitarian assistance to address the adverse conditions of life faced by Palestinians in the Gaza Strip.
President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa has said that the Friday judgment by the International Court of Justice, ICJ, showed that the International Court is aware of the acts of human tragedy allegedly committed by Israel in the northern Gaza Strip of Palestine. President Cyril Ramaphosa stated this on Friday while reacting to the judgment of the International Court of Justice in a nationwide broadcast. According to President Cyril Ramaphosa, the judgment exposed Israel's crimes against Palestinians. The full speech of the President's nationwide broadcast is presented verbatim below as made available by the Office of his South Africa President. Addressed by the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, on the ruling of the International Court of Justice. Fellow South Africans, earlier today, the International Court of Justice in The Hague issued a ruling that is a victory for international law, for human rights, and above all, for justice. This follows the unprecedented action taken by South Africa to take another country to the International Court of Justice. On the 29th of December 2023, South Africa filed an application instituting proceedings against the State of Israel for the violence it has unleashed on the people of the Gaza Strip, arguing that Israel was in breach of its obligations under the convention. South Africa had earlier condemned the 7th of October 2023 attack by Hamas and other groups that resulted in the deaths of many Israelis and the taking of hostages. The court in its judgment affirmed South Africa's right to take Israel to court, even though it is not a party to the conflict in Gaza. The ICJ, as the principal judicial organ of the United Nations, has handed down a ruling that the State of Israel should immediately implement a set of provisional measures to prevent any further acts of genocide in Gaza, to desist from such acts and to take effective measures to prevent the destruction and ensure the preservation of evidence relating to acts of genocide. As the South African government, we welcome the decision of the ICJ. We note the court's statement that it is acutely aware of the extent of the human tragedy that is unfolding in the region, and is deeply concerned about the continuing loss of life and human suffering, and that the catastrophic humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip is at serious risk of deteriorating further before the court renders its final judgment. We welcome the measures that the court ordered by majority decision, ruling that Israel military should not commit acts of genocide against Palestinians. Israel should take all measures to prevent and punish incitement to genocide. Furthermore, take immediate and effective measures to allow basic services and humanitarian assistance to Gaza, and it should preserve evidence of what is happening in Gaza, including submitting a report within a month on all measures taken to give effect to the ICJ order within 1 month. This order is binding on Israel and must be respected by all states that are party to the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. We expect Israel as a self-proclaimed democracy and a state that respects the rule of law to abide by the measures handed down by the International Court of Justice. After more than half a century of occupation, dispossession, oppression and apartheid, the Palestinian people's cries for justice have been heeded by an eminent organ of the United Nations. Today, Israel stands before the international community, its crimes against the Palestinians laid bare. Since October last year, the people of Gaza have been the victims of bombardment and strikes from land and air. Homes, refugee camps and entire neighborhoods have been destroyed, and not even schools and hospitals have been spared. The people of Gaza have been deprived of electricity, fuel, food, and medical supplies. According to the United Nations, more than 25,000 people have been killed during Israel's war with Hamas. Among the dead are relief workers, UN staff, and journalists. More than 16,000 of the dead are women and children. In October 2023, the UN Children's Fund said Gaza has become a graveyard for thousands of children. According to the UN, thousands of children were killed in just the first 3 weeks of the current conflict. As South Africa argued in its application to the ICJ, the high civilian death toll and the sheer scale of the destruction that has resulted from Israel's response to the 7th of October attacks is vastly disproportionate to any claim by Israel that it has been acting in self-defense. We have called Israel's attacks on Gaza genocidal acts for which Israel should and must be held accountable. Today, the International Court of Justice has vindicated us. The court has concluded that pursuant to Article 9 of the Convention, it has jurisdiction to adjudicate our application. The effect of the order that the ICJ has granted today is that there is a plausible case of genocide. This marks an important first step in our quest to secure justice for the people of Gaza. Some have told us to mind our own business. Others have said it was not our place. And yet it is very much our place, as people who know too well the pain of dispossession, discrimination, state-sponsored violence. We are also a people who were the victims of the crime of apartheid. We know what apartheid looks like. We experienced and lived through it. Sadly, many of people who died and were exiled, like our beloved leader Oliver Tambo and others were jailed like the father of our democracy, and others were maimed. We as South Africans will not be passive bystanders and watch the crimes that were visited upon us being perpetrated elsewhere. We stand on the side of freedom for all. We stand on the side of justice. 30 years ago, following our first democratic elections, President Nelson Mandela declared, "Let there be justice for all. Let there be peace for all. Never, never and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another." And so, we say again today, never, never and never again shall it be that acts of genocide are perpetrated with impunity as we, the international community, look on. We firmly believe that following this judgment there should now be a more concerted effort towards a ceasefire, and negotiations should commence on a permanent two-state solution, to enable Israel and Palestine to live side by side as independent states. As South Africa, we thank all in the international community who have supported our application, including a number of countries who have declared their intention to be part of our application. We will not waver in our commitment to the Palestinian people and their quest for self-determination. Our own painful history obliges us to do no less. We thank the International Court of Justice for upholding its role of achieving justice, promoting peace, preventing genocide, and holding those guilty of genocide accountable. It is our earnest hope and wish that this court order paves the way for an end to this crisis, for an end to the terrible loss of life and hardship, and for the crucial first steps to be taken towards reconciliation and a just, lasting peace. I thank Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has described the allegation of genocide leveled against Israel by South Africa at the International Court of Justice as an act not only false but outrageous. Benjamin Netanyahu made the condemnation in a nationwide broadcast while reacting to the judgment of the International Court of Justice, which ordered Israel to set up measures to prevent acts of genocide in the Gaza Strip of Palestine. Reacting, Prime Benjamin Netanyahu called on all decent people in the world to reject the allegation of genocide made against Israel at the court. Benjamin Netanyahu stated that Israel has the right to defend itself, adding that any attempt to deny Israel the right is an act of discrimination against the Jewish state. Emphasizing, Benjamin Netanyahu said the ongoing war in Gaza is against Hamas and not Palestinian civilians. Excerpts of the Prime Minister broadcast reads below. Israel's commitment to international law is unwavering. Equally unwavering is our sacred commitment to continue to defend our country and defend our people. Like every country, Israel has an inherent right to defend itself. The vile attempt to deny Israel this fundamental right is blatant discrimination against the Jewish state, and it was justly rejected. The charge of genocide leveled against Israel is not only false, it's outrageous, and decent people everywhere should reject it. On the eve of the International Holocaust Remembrance Day, I again pledge as Prime Minister of Israel, never again. Israel will continue to defend itself against Hamas, a genocidal terror organization. On October 7th, Hamas perpetrated the most horrific atrocities against the Jewish people since the Holocaust, and it vows to repeat these atrocities again and again and again. Our war is against Hamas terrorists, not against Palestinian civilians. We will continue to facilitate humanitarian assistance and to do our utmost to keep civilians out of harm's way, even as Hamas uses civilians as human shields. We will continue to do what is necessary to defend our country and defend our people.
Israel's commitment to international law is unwavering. Equally unwavering is our sacred commitment to continue to defend our country and defend our people. Like every country, Israel has an inherent right to defend itself. The vile attempt to deny Israel this fundamental right is blatant discrimination against the Jewish state, and it was justly rejected. The charge of genocide leveled against Israel is not only false, it's outrageous, and decent people everywhere should reject it. On the eve of the International Holocaust Remembrance Day, I again pledge as Israel's Prime Minister, never again. Israel will continue to defend itself against Hamas, a genocidal terror organization. On October 7th, Hamas perpetrated the most horrific atrocities against the Jewish people since the Holocaust, and it vows to repeat these atrocities again and again and again. Our war is against Hamas terrorists, not against Palestinian civilians. We will continue to facilitate humanitarian assistance and to do our utmost to keep civilians out of harm's way, even as Hamas uses civilians as human shields. We will continue to do what is necessary to defend our country and defend our people.
Lagos state government has banned the use of non-reusable plastic and styrofoam food takeaway packs due to the menace the said types of disposable takeaway plates often used at eateries, ceremonies and by caterers have caused in the environment. The Lagos state government in a press release on Sunday blamed the blockages of water or erosion drainages on the use of the said plastic and styrofoam takeaway packs. The State's Commissioner, Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, made this known in a statement on Sunday. According to the statement, which was posted on X by the ministry's spokesperson, Kunle Adeshina, alongside a video showing a lot of styrofoam takeaways packed inside water or erosion drainages, the government said the use of the plastics has caused a menace in the environment. The statement read, most drainage channels in the state are daily clogged up by styrofoam and other plastics through its indiscriminate distribution and usage despite the regular cleaning and evacuation of the drains with humongous amounts. The commissioner added that the state government cannot fold its hands and watch the continued desecration of its environment, especially for a coastal city. The statement added that the commissioner has directed the Lagos Waste Management Authority and the Kick Against Indiscipline to immediately commence the implementation of the ban. He asked the two agencies to clamp down on all the production companies and distribution outlets for styrofoam in the state to prevent further distribution. The commissioner advised producers, distributors, and end users of these styrofoam packs to take the ban seriously and find alternatives or risk heavy fines and other penalties, including sealing of their premises. Wahab advised consumers and residents to boycott styrofoam, parts and single-use plastics and imbibe the practice of using reusable food containers and water bottles for their food and drinks. Accordingly, the Punch newspaper reiterated that it reported in January 2023 that Lagos State had continued to battle the menace of plastic pollution despite the estimated $2 billion recycling industry in Nigeria. According to the report, Lagos State produces 870,000 tons of plastic garbage annually, and despite the government's efforts to address the threat of plastic pollution and turn it into a profitable venture, the environmental concern just won't go away. In a September report, a non-governmental organization, the Center for Earthworks, lamented the indiscriminate use and disposal of plastic materials by Nigerians and demanded an end to plastic pollution in the country.
This is the horrible scene of Akobis Crescent. This is horrible. The worst I've ever seen of. It's raining and we have a Loma truck coming. I don't know what they are coming to do. I don't know. This is horrible.
Court sitting in Lagos State on Friday sentenced a Lagos-based pastor, Oluwafeyiropo Daniels, to life imprisonment for raping church member. The court, the Lagos State Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence Court in Ikeja, also found Bishop Oluwafeyiropo Daniels guilty for raping a pastor in his church, Aren Christian Ministry, in June 2020. According to the judge, Justice Rahman Oshodi, he believed the testimony of the complainant as well as other witnesses who gave direct evidence which weren't contradicted at any point during the trial, despite the denials of the defendant. The court also held that the prosecution had successfully proven all the ingredients of rape under Section 262 of the Criminal Laws of Lagos State, 2015. Justice Oshodi, however, discharged the clergyman of the second count of allegedly raping another church member at his home in 2020. The court said the prosecution failed to prove the elements of the use of force, fear of harm by the complainant, and misrepresentation by the defendant to establish guilt in the offense of rape beyond all reasonable doubt. The court ordered that the convict's name be registered in the Lagos State Sex Offenders Register. The court also ordered that the cleric serve his jail term at the Nigeria Correctional Center, at the Kirikiri Maximum Facility where he is currently being detained. The judge said the cleric used his dominant character and position to sexually violate members of his church. Rape carries a mandatory life imprisonment and sexual assault carries a jail term of 3 years, which can't alleviate the harm on your victims, Justice Oshodi said. It would be recalled that Oluwafeyiropo Daniels was arraigned by the Lagos State government over rape, attempted rape and sexual assault of his church members. The cleric faced trial on an amended 4-count charge bordering on rape, sexual assault and attempted rape. The pastor was accused of sexually assaulting 3 of his church members at his residence in Lekki and on his church premises in Ikeja. In May 2023, the cleric was remanded by the court for allegedly raping a 25-year-old woman at his Lekki residence. The church member had told the court that the cleric had sex with her during a prayer session, while speaking in tongues. The pastor also became well known in the public after he declared and prophesied that the current Nigeria president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, would be arrested on Inauguration Day.
About to be sworn in. That day, and everybody that I said is the next president will be rejoicing. They will say, yes, I told you. Prophet that don't see fowls, I tell you, didn't I tell you Tinubu is the next president? And while at that event, it looks like a very open ground, like a stadium like center. No, I'm telling you what will happen. So, while at that event, military men will come in and they will arrest Tinubu. playing a movie before you, Abi. So that you will know that prophecy is not just calling people's name. Mark my words. I'm speaking from my office. I'm not speaking by a gift. You'll be arrested.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has said the government will carry out investigation into the fire incident that engulfed a warehouse inside 10-story Mandilas building at Broad Street in Lagos Island on Sunday. The governor, who reacted to the fire incident via his social media handle, said the fire incident has been curtailed by the State Fire Service. The governor gave a hint that the fire started from the first floor of the building and spread to the fourth floor. The governor's statement reads in quotes, "I would like to provide an update as relayed by our on-ground teams regarding the warehouse fire at Mandilas Building, Broad Street, Lagos Island. The fire originated on the first floor and got to the fourth. Currently, our brave teams from Ebute Elefun and Sari Igonmu fire stations are actively engaged in firefighting operations. The cause is yet to be determined, but investigations are underway. Fortunately, no casualties have been reported. I'd like to urge everyone to remain calm as all of our first responders are working hard to bring the situation to a complete halt. I salute our incredible firefighting teams and other first responders, including security personnel. Your dedication is unmatched as you face this challenge head." By Femi Babafemi. To vigilant threat agents and a traveler escaped being roped into two drug trafficking operations by desperate traffickers at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, MMI in Ikeja, Lagos. The two agents were contacted to send a consignment of 1 kilogram cannabis concealed in tins of Milo beverage to Turkey butchers to submit the shipment to NDLEA checks before processing the cargo. The psychoactive substance was later discovered to be hidden inside the shipment. Also, following coordinated intelligence and months of tracking of the containers by 3 special units of NDLEA, the illicit drugs along with arms, ammunition and sundry military effects were seized during joint examination of the 3 containers by the agency's officers and their counterparts from Customs Service and other security agencies between Thursday 18th and Friday the 19th of January 2024. Some of the agency's sniffer dogs were also deployed to help identify locations and bags used in concealing the illicit items. Some of the items recovered from the containers include 1,274 parcels of cocaine and Colorado with a total weight of 184.09 kilograms, 4 pistols, 197 rounds of 9mm ammunition, 49 rounds of 7.62mm ammunition, 275 rounds of 5.56mm ammunition, 14 rounds of 9mm ammunition and sundry military personnel effects as well as some chemicals in kegs. With the exception of 32.5 kilograms shipment of Colorado that came in used vehicles from Canada, the rest of the items were found in 2 of 3 containers that arrived at Tinkan Port from Durban, South Africa on board a vessel marked MSC Resilient 3 and discharged on New Year Eve, the 31st of December 2023. A suspect linked to one of the containers, UACU 5,340,336, bearing the 32.5 kilograms Colorado, 41-year-old Akara Chibudo has already been tracked and arrested by NDLEA operatives. In the same vein, NDLEA operatives on Friday the 19th of January arrested one Okosun Paul Ponit, the consignee of a consignment of tramadol concealed in a bottle of dietary supplement, which a staff of Pathfinder International Limited, Ajiza Ogumat Elvis Ugochukwu attempted sending through an intending passenger on Ibom Air to Accra, Ghana at the Lagos airport on Tuesday the 16th of January. A video of the face-off between the passenger and Ajiza Ogu later went viral after the vigilant passenger suspected the consignment contained illicit substances. Both Ajiza Ogu and the exhibit were later transferred to NDLEA on Thursday the 18th of January by the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, for investigation. Preliminary findings by NDLEA showed the parcel contained 50 pills of tramadol 225 milligrams concealed in a bottle of dietary supplements. A follow-up operation by the agency led to the arrest of Okosun upon his return from Ghana on Friday. He has in his statement confirmed ownership of the drug. In Kano, no fewer than 5,600,000 653,000. 5. 653,000 pills of tramadol 250 milligrams and the XOL5 were seized from 3 suspects. While Nura Abdullahi, 38, and Tahi Muhammad Mukhtar, 42, were arrested at Bacharawa area of Kanu with 5,404,000 pills of tramadol 250 milligrams on Sunday the 14th of January. Yusuf Umar, 50, was nabbed at Gada Tamburawa area of the state the previous day Saturday the 13th of January with 249,000 tablets of the XOL5 by NDLEA operatives. In Lagos, 2 suspects, Ali Abubakar and Murtala Sani, were arrested at Ojodu Berger area on Tuesday the 16th of January with 110 kilograms of cannabis sativa while 69 kilograms of same substance was recovered from the hideout of a fleeing suspect in Akerele, Surulere same day. Not less than 2,800 bottles of codeine-based cough syrup were recovered by NDLEA officers on Saturday the 20th of January during a raid operation at Alerite FCT, Abuja. The suspected owner of the consignment, Jidefo Sochima, is still at while a total of 100,510 pills of opioids were seized from a suspect, Ike Emmanuel, 35, on Thursday the 18th of January at Dan Anacha village, Taraba State. NDLEA operatives in Abia State arrested 60-year-old Joseph Isiguzoro, as well as Emmanuel Eugene and Malaka Elidu in parts of Abia State with 34,200 pills of opioids. Isiguzoro was equally found with monetary exhibits totaling 2,885,045 naira, 2,885,045 nairas only. The War Against Drug Abuse (WADA) advocacy campaign of the agency continued in Ecole Major in schools, markets, worship places, and others across the country in the past week. Some of them include WADA sensitization lecture at Federal University of Technology, Ikot Abasi, Akwa Ibom, Federal Government College, Ijenikin, Lagos, Edutoko University, Bida, Niger State, and WADA advocacy lecture at Community Secondary School, Bichi, Kano State, among others. While commending the officers and men of Tinkan, MMI, Abia, Taraba, Lagos, Kanu, and FCT commands as well as the special units of the agency for the arrests and seizures of the past week, Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, urged them and their compatriots across all formations of the agency to remain focused and resolute in pursuit of the corporate goal of winning the war against substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking in Nigeria. He further charged them to maintain the flame of collaboration with other law enforcement agencies and stakeholders in their areas of responsibility. Views exclusive rights, Femi Babafemi, Director, Media and Advocacy, NDLEA Headquarters Abuja, Sunday the 21st of January 2020. A combined special team of men of the Nigeria Police Force and Nigerian Army have rescued 5 out of the 6 sisters of Mansur Al-Qadria family alongside others kidnapped by bandits in the Bwari Area Council of Abuja a day after 2024 New Year celebration. One of the 6 sisters, Nabiha Al-Qadria, was killed during their captivity in the hands of the kidnappers. It would be recalled that Alhaji Mansur Al-Qadria and his 6 children were kidnapped in Abuja on Tuesday, January 2, 2024. The incident, discussed widely under the hashtag Najiba and her sisters, sparked outrage across social media platforms. Nabiha, a 400-level student of biological science at Ahmadu Bello University, was laid to rest during the week in accordance with Islamic rites. Some others abducted include Najiba, a 500-level quantity surveying student, and Nadara, a 300-level zoology student. The kidnappers initially demanded a ransom of 60 million nairas, a figure that was later increased to 100 million nairas. The kidnapping incident triggered an outpouring of grief and solidarity on social media, with users expressing their outrage and calling on security agencies to intensify efforts to rescue the remaining victims. The family and well-wishers also turned to social media platforms to seek financial assistance, amplifying their desperate plea for support. On Sunday morning, the Federal Capital Territory Police Command in a press release announced that the Al-Qadria sisters and other abducted victims were rescued from the bandits' den in Kajuru Forest in Kaduna State by a joint team of policemen and soldiers of the Nigerian Army on Saturday night. It was gathered that about 23 persons were abducted on January 2, 2024, in the Zuma 1 area of Kawu, in the Bwari Area Council of Abuja. All the victims, including 5 sisters whose abduction had raised nationwide concerns, were rescued at about 11 p.m. on Saturday, and had since been reunited with their families. Punch newspaper reported that the bandits terrorizing the FCT and neighboring states of Kaduna, Nasarawa and Niger were camped in the Kajuru forest in the southern Kaduna area of Kaduna State. Highly placed security sources confided in one of our correspondents that the forest was being used by the military for training of its personnel, but had been abandoned, thus making it a haven for the terrorists. One of the military sources told The Punch on Friday, kidnappers and other criminals terrorizing the Federal Capital Territory are presently camped in the Kajuru forest. Kajuru is the headquarters of the Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. The forest has become a haven for bandits and kidnappers. Breaking, FCT police rescues BWAI kidnapped victims, IUNITES victims with family, as CP promises sustenance of existing robust security arrangements in affected areas beyond. Following the relentless advancement of the Federal Capital Territory Police Command Anti-Kidnapping Squad in a concerted effort with troops of the Nigerian Army, on the heels of the kidnappers that struck the Zuma 1 area in the Bwari Area Council on the 2nd of January 2024, the FCT police has rescued the victims and reunited them with their families. The operative successfully rescued the victims around Kajuru Forest in Kaduna State at about 11:30 p.m. on Saturday, the 20th of January 2024. While appreciating the Inspectors General of Police, IGP Olukayode Egbetokun, for the deployment of the newly commissioned Special Intervention Squad, which has given an uplift to the existing security architecture of the FCT and has brought public confidence, the Commissioner of Police, FCT Command CP Haruna G. Kaba wishes to reiterate the command's commitment to sustaining the robust security deployment made in the area and other parts of the territory for the utmost maintenance of peace for all and sundry. The good people of FCT are hence encouraged to note the following emergency lines and promptly report suspicious activities: 0@03203913, 0@0615@1938, 07057337653, and 0@02894088 PCB, 09022222352. Views exclusive rights SP Josephine Ade, Police Public Relations Officer. For the Commissioner of Police, FCT Police Command, January 21, 2024. LHRMDULILH, our daughters are back home. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope this message from Al-Qadriya's family finds you all in good health and high spirits. I am writing today to share some incredibly heartfelt and joyous news with all of you. Alhamdulillah, our prayers have been answered and our daughters have arrived safely in captivity. Words cannot express the immense gratitude and relief we feel at this moment. It is a true testament to the power of faith and the unwavering support and prayers from every one of you. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank Allah for His mercy and guidance throughout this difficult time. However, amidst our celebration and gratitude, we must remember and pray for those who have lost their lives during this process. Their sacrifices must not go unnoticed, and their families must be in our prayers and thoughts. May Allah grant them the highest ranks in Jannah, enveloping them with His mercy and forgiveness. May He bring comfort and peace to their grieving families, providing them with strength to endure their loss. Our beloved daughters have shown remarkable strength and resilience, and we are overjoyed to have them back in our arms. Their bravery and courage during their time held captive will forever inspire us all. May Allah bless and protect every one of these incredible young women and grant them emotional healing and strength in the days to come. We also extend our deepest gratitude to the security forces, authorities, and all those who work tirelessly towards the safe rescue of our daughters. May Allah bless them abundantly for their dedication and sacrifice. During this time of celebration, let us not forget those who are still facing similar hardships and continue to pray for their safe return. It is our duty as a community to support and uplift one another during times of adversity. Once again, we want to express our sincerest thanks to Allah for answering our prayers and bringing our daughters safely home. We are eternally grateful for the outpouring of love and support from our community, and we pray that Allah blesses every one of you abundantly. Alhamdulillah, our daughters are home. Fire Amanillah. Views exclusive rights. Al-Kaidi-IYSHEIFDEN 20 to Kamaldeen Street, Soloto Compound, Masimba, Okekere, Ilorin, January 21, 2024. United States Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has said Nigeria is an essential country in shaping the future. The U.S. Secretary of State stated this on Tuesday during a press briefing when he visited Nigeria as part of his Africa tour. According to Anthony Blinken, United States of America is working in collaboration for the use of artificial intelligence to push up development in Africa, which, he said, Nigeria as the largest population, economy and democracy has made essential efforts in Africa's developmental quest. Anthony Blinken noted that Africa has shaped the past, the present and currently shaping the future. The U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken arrived in Nigeria and met with President Bola Tinubu in Abuja and later headed to the country's economic capital, Lagos, to engage with the business community and commissioning of American Corner in Lagos. At Lagos, Anthony Blinken on Wednesday met Bosun Tijani, Nigeria's Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy. The two authorities met during the Digital Technology Showcase at 21st Century Technology in Lagos, Nigeria. Blinken also met Nigerian entrepreneurs and innovators that partook in the showcase. He later visited the Nike Art Gallery where he watched dancers perform. Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu received the United States Consul General in Lagos, Will Stevens, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, David Green, charge d'affaires ad interim, U.S. Embassy in Abuja during Blinken's transit through Lagos, at the presidential wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, on Wednesday, the 24th of January 2024. Sanwo-Olu disclosed this in photos shared on his social media handles on WED. Accordingly, Sanwo-Olu said, it was a pleasure to welcome the United States Secretary of State, Mr. Anthony Blinken, to Lagos while transiting at the presidential wing, Murtala Mohammed International Airport. We are always open to strengthening diplomatic ties and discussing shared interests for a brighter future. His recent words recognizing Lagos' well-deserved reputation as a tech and innovation hub were great to hear as we stand proud as a breeding ground for innovative success. Our city remains open to fostering international partnerships that contribute to our collective progress. Blinken had unveiled the American Corner in the Lekki area of Lagos State on Wednesday. U.S. Embassy said, since 2000, the U.S. has launched 245 American Corners in approximately 60 countries. It was learned that the American Corners serve as regional resource centers for information and programs highlighting American culture, history, current events, and government. The facility unveiled on WED braced the United States of America President Joe Biden's policy to propel digital transformation and foster a digital ecosystem in sub-Saharan Africa, according to Punch newspaper. Bidemi Ojo, co-founder, Clearworld Pharmacy and Vice President, Mandela Washington Fellowship Alumni Association of Nigeria, captured the moment of Anthony Blinken in Lagos while commissioning the American Corner program. Bidemi Ojo's words are represented below verbatim. Exciting day. Today was beyond amazing as I represented the Mandela Washington Fellowship Alumni Association, MWFAN, as Vice President to the grand launch of the American Corner Lekki, commissioned by the distinguished U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. Huge shouts out to the U.S. Consulate General Lagos for the invite. Present were the incredible leaders like Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria David Green, U.S. Consular General Will Stevens, and Chairman, CEO at 21st Century Technologies, Wale Ajisebutu. The vibes were electric. Secretary Blinken's speech was inspiring, emphasizing a commitment to the vibrant U.S.-Nigeria relationship while praising the tech prowess of Nigeria and the impact of programs like the Mandela Washington Fellowship. He applauded 21st Century Technologies for their role in building digital infrastructure to enable technology in Nigeria. He also applauded the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy for making Nigeria a tech powerhouse, judging from the quality of innovation coming from the country. The ribbon cutting by Secretary Blinken was the highlight, and it marked a historic moment. The American Corner Lekki is expected to aid youth innovation, entrepreneurship, and creativity. Debola Deji Kurumi, a 2018 Mandela Washington Fellow who has now become a board member of MWFAN, shared her incredible journey, highlighting the transformative power of the fellowship, and the amazing CEO of 21st Century Technologies shared their awe-inspiring 25-year journey from humble beginnings. U.S. Consular General Will Stevens nailed his speech too. Had a blast networking with the U.S. Embassy and consulate staff, important personalities, dignitaries, celebrities, presidents, and key leaders from various U.S. government exchange programs. The American Corner Tour left me breathless. From event spaces to podcast and video recording studios, and an education hub, glad that this tech heaven is in my community. Grateful for this opportunity and can't wait for Mandela Fellows to leverage this space.
Africa has shaped our past. It is shaping the present. It will shape our future. Nigeria, as Africa's largest country, largest economy, largest democracy, is essential to that effort. And we are doing a lot of work together already to drive in a positive direction. We're driving climate action as partners in the Global Methane Coalition. We're pushing for permanent representation for African voices in the UN Security Council, in other international organizations that need to reflect the realities of today, not just the day that they were created many, many years ago. We're working and collaborating to support the development and use of artificial intelligence for good. With 30 other Atlantic countries, we're driving blue economic development, environmental protection, science and technology exchange through a new partnership for Atlantic cooperation.
During the course of that meeting, several issues were discussed of a bilateral nature as well as multilateral nature. They ranged from food security to agriculture, to pharmaceuticals, to security itself in the region. And I have to say that the discussions were very fruitful, and the decision was also made that a number of these issues would be further discussed at the upcoming Nigeria-US Binational Commission